After all these decades of George Soros pulling some real underhanded stuff, trying to subvert the government in the U.S., try to undermine our constitutional principles and turn us into a socialist mess, Trump has finally gone after the guy. The Republicans and Democrats have both ignored him, let him operate with impunity, while we all knew that he was bad for our country. Trump is the first one in our government to go after him. He's recommended that Pam Bondi pursue RICO investigation after it, and I hope that that happens. But there's a lot to talk about here because George Soros' son is now married to the woman who was allegedly the female lesbian girlfriend of Hillary Clinton for many, many years, over 25 years. There's a lot of rumors about that going around. No one ever got to the bottom of it, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to get to the evidence behind all of it. And there's a lot about George Soros you don't know. That everyone should have known this a long time ago, but you know where we're at with the information process in this country. Anyway, thanks, my friends. Welcome back for another episode of What They Don't Say. I'm the host, Fred Lynn, and this is another subject where there's an awful lot that just isn't said. First of all, Trump's talking about going after George Soros. Everyone knows he's a bad guy. Everyone knows that he pays for some bad things. But there's a lot that people really need to know about him just to realize how evil he is. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes here real quick and explain a couple of things. A real fast rundown history of George Soros. We've seen too much of the action of this guy. He's a bad actor, and every country that his filthy belly slithers into. He's famous for being the man who broke the Bank of England clear back in 1992, and he's proven to be a ruthless financial genius whose ego enjoys profit that's gained from destruction. He seems to prefer profits that destroy something, eluding. There's something wrong in this guy. Unfortunately, he's not stupid. He's brilliant. He is the super villain, the diabolical evil guy. That's him. There's something deeply wrong with how his personality drives him to view damage to nations and financial systems as symbolizing his personal power. As children, we all watch these cartoons. We've seen the mad villains. Soros is that madman in the flesh, an honest-to-God supervillain. His early life may have damaged him during his formative years, but sometimes evil people are simply born evil. It seemed like he was born in a place and time where the evil that was in his nature just kind of fit the system. People don't know about his childhood. He's born into a Jewish Hungarian family, and he was raised when being Jewish got you shipped off to death camps. His father bought fake documents so that they could ID themselves as Christians just so they could survive. Little George was 14 when a fascist Nazi official took him along to assist in his own duty. George did the job with curiosity. 14 years old, he got drugged along to this, but he had no emotion about it. The people that were around him at the time said he just showed no emotion. What was the task? Wealthy Jews were getting rounded up and shipped off for the death camps. George helped his mentor seize and inventory the properties and possessions of the condemned. He did so with no remorse, no compassion, and later on he explained that if he hadn't done it, someone else would have. How many times is that excuse used by evil people? This is his own people. He's inventorying their property, but he was 14 years old when that started. He learned then, look at all the good stuff you can get if you just kill people. Now you jump ahead to his time in America. That began in 1956. He moved here to work and learn the New York stock trades. He had a goal way back then, 1956. In 1961, he received dual citizenship in the U.S. That was a calculated move to provide a more stable and grounded persona for his involvement in U.S.-based high finance. Come to America, become a dual citizen. He didn't do it out of pride or appreciation, typical of the immigrants. He's not capable of loyalty. We shouldn't even have dual citizenship, by the way. Either you commit to being an American or you don't. Because you do have to take an oath when you become a naturalized citizen. You have to take an oath. And that oath says that you don't put any ruler of any country ahead of America. You can't do that and be a dual citizen because you've got an obligation to the leadership back in your home country. We shouldn't have dual citizenship. Either you're American or you're not. But early exposure to the concepts of socialism made him realize that the system can allow a few at the top to gather the wealth of the plundered majority, and you can achieve unrestrained power to do so as you please. All you got to do is use the system. That is pure George Soros, and his course was defined at that point when he came to that realization. Socialism, plunder, and power over the masses and governments are all that drive him. And that's all that America was created to oppose. His life work for decades has been to use his wealth and associated power to gradually undermine and subvert our system by any and all possible means. The guy doesn't care, whatever it takes. He shouldn't have any sort of citizenship. His dual citizenship should be revoked. Why is this allowed? Well, it's because he works inside the same financial circles that fuel our two major political parties. He works inside the same circles as those donors. From funding damaging assemblies of protesters to rigging elections, the machines that tally our votes, this dirtbag, he's a parasitic infection in our process. We'd be a lot better off without him. He shouldn't be here. The dual U.S. citizenship of Soros should be revoked. His U.S. assets should be forced into liquidation. He should be deported. A portion of his assets should be seized as a bond, because we don't know what this guy's going to do if we do get him out of the country. Put him under bond. Keep a few billion of his money. You can release it slowly unless he acts against our system afterwards. We can keep it to repair the damage that he's done. But the guy shouldn't have access to the financial system of America. He shouldn't have any access. He should be banned from it. He should be barred from all U.S. finance and business activities. Make him forfeit the bond if he leaves and screws up. I got things I'd rather do. I'd rather have him locked up where he couldn't hurt anybody anymore. But everybody has ignored it. Everybody has let the guy do whatever he wants. And now Trump is finally going after him, the first person. That's the nice thing about getting a president that isn't from either one of these political parties. They will do things the politicians in these political parties will not do. Thank God for Trump going after Soros. He's an enemy. He should be treated as such. Trump says he wants RICO charges. Well, it isn't really a RICO charge. It's a RICO investigation. RICO is the Racketeering and Influence Corrupt Organization Act. Soros is as corrupt as it gets. When you work with a lot of people, that's when RICO comes into play. When there's a lot of people involved in the corruption. That way, you've only got to be associated with the group. You don't have to actually commit the crime yourself because you're part of the crime family. That's how they got the mob. So why aren't they recommending RICO cases against all the Democrats that stole all the money, like from the U.S. aid program, all the UN crap, all the stuff that Elon Musk uncovered? Billions of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. Nobody is getting charged, and Pam Bondi has not started a RICO investigation. We did another video about that. I'll link it in the description here. Pam Bondi has got to start using these RICO laws. Trump is right to call for RICO investigation against Soros, but we don't know how far Soros's links really go. Does anyone remember Huma Abedin? That crooked New York politician, Anthony Weiner, the guy that wound up going to prison because he was doing pervert stuff with some minor girl. Okay, he was married to a woman named Huma Abedin, some kind of Middle Eastern woman. All of a sudden, around 1996, for some reason, Huma Abedin became an intern for Hillary Clinton. Wow, they got a real close relationship after that. There were always rumors, unfounded. We don't have any proof. No one's seen the video. There's always rumors that Hillary was a lesbian and the whole marriage with Bill was just a sham. Regardless, it's a sham marriage. Whether she's a lesbian or not can't be proven. But Huma Abedin became inseparable from Hillary. They traveled around the world. They always got one hotel room. That isn't a normal relationship between a boss and an intern or a boss and a professional aide. They don't usually share the same room, especially when you're traveling on an unlimited budget like they always do because they're spending taxpayer money. We know that. They used to go around Martha's Vineyard taking vacations together, dressed in identical clothes, going out shopping and eating at the restaurants. Is this something girlfriends do, or is this a relationship? We don't know, but they were extremely close. They were practically inseparable for many, many years, over 20 years. Okay, now, that Huma Abedin just happens to be married to George Soros' son. They just got married this June. Alex Soros, major dork. Oh, man. You know, at least if you're going to have an evil genius boss, you want him to look like Darth Vader. You want some big badass guy. You don't want this skinny little dweeb. My God, it's horrible. Anyway, this just can't get any worse. But yeah, Huma Abedin, she wound up divorcing her pervert husband, spending a lot of time with Hillary in inappropriate situations, shall we say. And then suddenly gets married to Alex. Okay, that's George Soros' son, if I didn't say that. She marries George Soros' son after being really close to him and Hillary. When did they get close? How many of those 33,000 emails that Hillary illegally erased were tied to Soros? How much information was she giving him? Hillary had the keys to the vault. Even after Bill Clinton got out of office, she was back in there with Obama when she was Secretary of State. They had ties the whole time. She had friends that could access stuff that she couldn't access, that were out of her purview. Things that would be considered off limits for the Secretary of State. She just talked to Amy down the hall. Hey, Amy, go get me this. Go get me that. They had connections. George Soros had access to our deepest, darkest secrets through Hillary. That's why she didn't dare let those emails be found. That's why she went to all that trouble to destroy everything. Soros' son married Hillary's supposed girlfriend. These people, do they all sleep together? My God, it sure seems that way, doesn't it? What was shared with these people? We're never going to know. They drug it out too long, let all the evidence get destroyed. Right now, the focus needs to be Soros. Trump is willing to go after him. No one else ever has. Everyone complains. You don't hear the politicians complain about Soros much. You hear about a lot of media people complaining, a lot of reporters, a lot of people from different departments will complain, but you don't hear people in Congress complaining. People that depend upon donations, you don't hear them complaining about Soros. You don't see them doing anything about it. Trump doesn't even want another term. He can't have one. Hell, he'll go after him. He's got nothing to lose. But Trump is an outsider that's not tied to the parties that have been protecting George Soros for 30 years. Or hell, over 65 years, really. 69, my God, time flies. Jeez, yeah, it's been that long. The guy's been getting away with it. Now Trump's going to go get him. It can't happen fast enough. We got to back him on this. We got to get this right. And if we do, maybe God will continue to bless this great country of ours. Thanks for listening.